The Last Journey. Chapter 5. T-Vas stood, tears streaming down her face.
I want this for my David so badly, but I'm terrified that something might go wrong. Is there anything we can do to minimize the risk?
T-Sun looked out of the page and asked the reader.
Well, do you have any idea? Please answer in the comments section below.
Every eye turned to regard the reader.
Well, do you? We'll wait a few moments.
After checking the comment section, Shirley read over the proposals again and again for the 1000th time. She mumbled.
We could. Well, we could.
Every head swiveled toward her.
We could what?
Shirley closed her eyes.
One of us could go through the process before our captain.
T-Sun mused again.
Our captain.
Then she said.
We could get the greenest recruit on board and try it with him. Then even if we only get the same guy out that went in, no harm done. Let's ask those friends waiting to hear from us to consider the question, and we all think about what could be done. Let's come back in a week.
T-Vas left the meeting in tears, worried about the possible outcome if something went awry, and yet wanted so desperately to give him back the spring in his step, his strength, and free him of the pain he lives with every waking hour, while keeping this older, happier, mellower man of hers. She seriously considered going through the procedure before him just to give her a greater assurance that he would come through the procedure as they all hoped. I walked onto the bridge, and T-Sun called out.
Captain on the bridge.
My reply was and has always been, as you were. I regarded T-Sun. Number 1, what's on the agenda today? She replied.
Well, sir, we have achieved Admiral Self's goal. I would say we are free to visit the Krill home world if that's what you want to do.
About that time, Tal said.
Captain, you have a burst message from Admiral Self. I transferred it to your ready room.
Thanks, Tal. I entered the ready room and asked the computer to open the message. It appeared on my screen.
Dave, our new president wants to present you with the Legion of Merit for the mission that culminated with the treaty with the Krill, and all the events, the rescue of the admirals and ambassador, the capture of Admiral York, and the capture of Maximilian Sargon. Such individuals significantly involved, such as Admiral Susan Sims and Commander Dale Sims, have also been awarded the LOM. Come to Sector 00, and I'll see you when you arrive. John Self CNO.
I stuck my head out and said, Barbara, you have the con. We're going to Sector 00. You'll 12. T-Sun, you and Hank, take the day off. The annunciator sounded, and I called, come. Barbara entered and asked.
Captain, may I ask a question?
Feeling smart, I replied, you just did. I laughed. Ask. She grinned and asked.
Sir, why do I have the con so much lately?
Commander, I am grooming you to be a first officer and later captain. I want you to succeed like Tasha has, like T-Sun is. She stood as if riveted to the floor.
Sir, me?
Yes, you. Lieutenant Commander Barbara Steele. I want you to make me proud that one of the finest captains in the Navy was once a member of my crew, and I saw your potential to be a masterful captain. Barbara dropped into a chair like she was stunned by a laser. She stared at me and took a deep breath.
Captain, thank you. I won't let you down.
She stood, straightened her uniform, her head held high, and proudly took her place on the center chair. I stepped toward the chair and whispered in her ear, having fun yet? I smiled and went to the lift. I'll be in my cabin. She replied.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Later that afternoon, I said, Barbara, you're with me. Kitty, you have the con. We'll be on my regular walk through the ship. As we walked, I told Barbara that I wanted her to take the basic and advanced leadership courses from the Naval Academy. And I wanted her to be on the bridge anytime we were in any alert status above green. As we walked, we encountered various crewmen and would stop and chat a bit. Then, as we left the crewmen, I would ask what she knew about the individual. Barbara asked me.
Captain, you seem to know the names of every crewman we have encountered. How is that?
Barb, I know the names, faces, service number, rank, and nose, naval occupational specialty, of every member of my crew. She stopped.
Sir, that's 420 people. How?
I smiled. Many sleepless nights. I stopped and turned to ask her, Barbara, what is Project Fountain? She replied.
Sir, You would have to ask T's son or your wife.
I'm asking you. She had that deer in the headlights expression, then.
Captain, I swore to keep it a secret until the project's completion. I cannot tell you. I assure you, sir, it is benign.
I assured her I would not hold this against her. Would you tell me who is the spearhead? She replied,
Your first officer, sir.
Okay, I'll talk to her later. We arrived in Sector 00 and reported to Naval Headquarters. I was instructed to remain aboard the ship until ordered to teleport down. We sat in orbit for 10 days doing nothing. Then I was ordered to teleport to the office of the Chief of Naval Operations at 1300 hours, Pacific Standard Time, February 1st, 2509, new date system, NDS 25090201. I teleported to the CNO's office and reported to Admiral John Self. He responded,
Dave, I didn't mean for you to do that.
I replied, laughing, I'm reporting to my superior officer, and that's the way I do it. We both laughed.
You never made me do that.
Of course not. You were my first officer and my best friend when I really needed a friend. He grabbed me in a bear hug, 3 slaps on the back, and we parted, still laughing.
The president is waiting in his office.
John said.
Let's go.
I asked, who is the president?
Adam Durant, from the Dejega system. He wants to talk to you before the award ceremony. Mr. President, this is Vice Admiral David Stevens.
I stepped into the president's office with John. The president came around his desk, sticking out his hand.
Admiral, I'm so happy to meet you finally.
I replied, Sir. Vice Admiral may be my rank, but I am still the captain of the USS Constitution, the most powerful, fastest, and most versatile ship in the Navy, and I still prefer the title of captain. He bowed slightly.
Captain Stevens, I understand that you are 70 years old. Have you thought about retirement?
Mr. President, I answered, I am almost 600 years old. My past has been gone so long that there is nothing for me to retire to. Space is all I have known for the past 26 or 7 years. Retirement is a terrifying thought. He asked.
What do you propose, then, Captain?
I replied, Sir, I wish to remain aboard the Constitution. When competent authority determines I am no longer fit for duty, I will turn command over to my first officer and remain aboard until my life force is depleted. Then, sir, I wish my ashes be thrown into a blue-white star. The president replied,
If I am still president when your end comes, you shall have it as you wish. Captain Stevens, Admiral Self, let's get on with the presentation of this medal. We shall teleport to the bridge of the Constitution for the presentation. Shall we go?
When we arrived aboard the ship and entered the bridge, we found that as many of our crew as would fit on the bridge were in attendance. So many friends and comrades smiled as the award was pinned on my chest. Immediately after the ceremony, T. Vass wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me.
I'm so proud of you, my dear, dear husband.
I whispered, I love you, my dear, dear wife. With you by my side, I can do anything. My crew lined up, each shaking my hand, smiling, saying,
Captain, thank you.
As each one came to me, I said their rank, name, and a thank you. Many were surprised.
You know who I am, sir?
I replied to each one who asked, You're damn right I know who you are. You're a fine sailor, working down in the, and I named their section and job. You're an example of the finest in the Navy. The president asked me,
Do you know every member of your crew?
Every member, from the lowest recruit to every commander, and I will know every passenger when we have one. You ought to try it, sir. It will improve the morale of those you work around. He asked.
How do you do it?
I said, many sleepless nights. John and I returned to his office. John said,
I'm sending you on an exploratory mission this time. I want you to explore the Bata Quadrant. I expect you to explore as much as you can in 2 years. Then return and give me a full report and add to our star charts. You have carte blanche as far as your ship and route.
He clapped me on the shoulder.
Dave, I hope Project Fountain is successful.
I spun to face him. You know about Project Fountain? He blinked.
Why, yes. Beverly told me all about it, and I approve.
John, I said in a whisper, no one will tell me anything about Project Fountain. It seems as if what I have been told are lies. Just wait till I get back up there. There will be hell to pay for lying. John laughed.
So long, Dave, don't be too harsh.
T-Sun, I want every member of Project Fountain in my quarters now. I yelled as I finished my teleport. As I entered my cabin, I said very quietly, I just left the Chief of Naval Operations office. He told me he approved of Project Fountain. I turned to stare at T-Sun. Someone has been lying to me about this project. You had better come clean, or every one of you will spend every day for the rest of your career cleaning toilets. T-Sun asked.
Sir, do you remember asking me about a fountain of youth?
Well, yes. She continued.
We found the fountain of youth. But we wanted to be sure before we told you. We can take you back to the age you were when you first came aboard this ship. All the details have finally been worked out, and we were going to tell you about it as we began to explore the Bata Quadrant.
I was dumbfounded. I turned to T-Bass. You knew this all along? She replied.
Yes, darling, I knew. I will go through the procedure too.
I turned to George, my chief engineer. You knew? I swung around, looking at everyone in the room. You all knew? They all nodded. Yes. I teared up. I came in here livid. I apologize. Thank you. Let's get back to work. Everyone filed out, leaving me with T-Vass and T-Sun. I hugged T-Vass, kissed her, then hugged T-Sun. Hank's a very lucky guy. Number 1, thank you. She smiled.
No, thank you, Captain.
T-Sun, you have the con. Let's be on our way. She smiled.
Aye, sir.
And out she went. We began our journey out of the Alpha Quadrant at UL-16. 3 days in and I got a call from my first officer.
Captain, Project Fountain is ready to receive you. We are in the teleported room, waiting.
On my way, number 1. I only took 5 minutes to get there. I asked, what do I have to do? T-Sun replied.
Lay down on this gurney. You will be subjected to the death pulse. Abhi will be with you every second. We will teleport your body to another room and teleport it back using the recording from your first teleport to the Constitution. Abhi will guide you to reintegrate with your body. All in all, it takes less time than I have taken to explain it to you. When you're ready, sir.
T-Vass stepped over to my gurney, looked down at me, and kissed me, saying,
I've already been through it. I will be waiting.
I nodded my head. Let's get this over with, please. In a moment, I was floating above my body, but I heard Abby and T-Sun talking to me.
Stay just where you are, Captain.
Then my body was gone. After a while, I couldn't judge time passing. My body returned, and Abby told me to reintegrate with the body. Suddenly, I felt not normal, pain-free, strong, and aware that I could think clearer than I had in a long time. I opened my eyes. Is it done? Is it over? T-Vass helped me off the gurney and stand on my feet.
Yes, dear, it's all done.
She took my hand.
Let's go to our cabin and rest.
I nodded. Number 1, you have the con. And we went to our cabin. I looked at T-Vass. Sweetheart, you're gorgeous. I reached for the buttons on her blouse. The next morning we prepared for duty. I felt strong, awake, and pain-free. As I entered the bridge, T-Sun called out.
Captain on the bridge.
The whole bridge crew turned and looked at me. I turned to T-Sun. Number 1, how can I thank you? I believe I can captain our ship for another 20 years. Hank, may I? He nodded, and I took T-Sun in my arms and kissed her cheek. Thank you. She smiled.
You need to thank every member of the project.
I turned to Tall. Ship-wide, please. This is the captain. Thank you, every member of Project Fountain. I know these 2 words are inadequate, but they are all I have. Thank you. And to every crewman, thank you. Know that I am strong, alive, on the top of my game. Thank you, all. Captain out. I took the command chair. Hank, where are we? He replied.
Check the screen, sir.
There on the screen was a dark star. Sensor lab, talk to me. Kate replied.
It's a star in the final throes of its life, sir.
I asked, can you tell me how long before the end? She replied,
Sir, I believe we are seeing the death throes of this star.
Engineering, drop a monitor buoy. Barbara, let's get out of here, UL-16. Her fingers danced over her control board, and we shot away at UL-16. As we left the solar system, all hell broke loose. A massive wave of gases, debris, and radiation rocked the ship. Fortunately, our shields were up, and we were bounced around a bit, but no injuries or damage. Unfortunately, the wave carried the Constitution many light years into the Beta Quadrant. When we regained control of the ship again, we were lost. We had no idea where we were. I asked Tal for ship-wide. Now hear this. This is the captain. I have good news and bad news. This is the good news. Our ship is in excellent condition. Our crew is the best in the Navy. We are all alive and well. We have a 2-year mission to explore the Beta Quadrant, which is the quadrant we are in. The bad news is, because of the nova of the star we were investigating, we were blown light years away from our entry point to the Beta Quadrant, and we have no idea where we are. But we are able to maintain our lives indefinitely. We have each other, and we are smart enough to figure this out. You are smart enough to know we're going to make it. Captain out. The bridge crew turned and looked at me. Barbara asked.
What now, Captain?
I smiled. First, we keep our cool. Second, we lean on our shipmates. Third, we allow our shipmates to lean on us. Fourth, we think and plan. We have the Constitution, we have each other, and we have courage and hope. T-Sun looked at Hank, and she mouthed.
I have you.
And Hank responded.
And I have you.
Barbara started to cry. I took her hand and led her into the ready room. Barbara, what is it? We've been through worse. She replied.
I saw T-Sun and Hank smiling and mouthing, I have you, and I don't have anyone.
I waved her to sit. Barbara, you've been so focused on your career you've never noticed anyone. Look around. You're a bright, clever, and beautiful gal. Let someone in. She smiled through her tears.
Thank you, Captain.
Get back to work. Just look around. But be careful and cautious. Make sure of what you want and need. We returned to the bridge. All right, people, I want ideas. We've done this before. I want ideas. How do we find our way home? Tall, ship wide, please. Ship wide, sir. Now hear this. This is the captain. Let's start thinking. I need ideas. How do we find our way home? When you have an idea, contact the first officer, Commander Peterson, Commander Steele, or me. No idea is too far out to consider. Captain out. Hank said.
Captain, I'm going to try to find Thanatos. We could start from there if I can find it.
I clapped him on the shoulder. Now, that's the kind of idea I want. See what you can do, Commander. He smiled.
Aye, sir.
I called the sensor lab. Kate, please, a full sweep 360 degrees, a parsec out. Feed me any useful results. She replied.
Sir, please define useful.
I replied, Kate, feed me everything as you complete a quarter of the scan. Okay?
Aye, sir.
I directed, Tal, get me the astrophysics lab. Astrophysics, I will send you the sensor data as Kate feeds it to me. Analyze, record, and report please. 2 hours in, and we're still lost. Kate called me.
Captain, there's an artificial object 10.3 degrees, starboard half a parsec out.
Hank, let's go investigate it.
Aye, sir.
I directed, Barb, UL5, please. Yellow alert. As we approached the artifact, we slowed to SL5, Barbara, at 10 meters, all stop.
All stop, sir.
I asked, Kate, what do your sensors indicate? She replied.
Dead, no energy, no life, atmosphere, 90% Earth normal.
I ordered, number 1, put a team together and check it out. She jumped up.
Aye, sir. Hank, Barbara, and Steve, you're with me. Attention, this is the first officer. Winters, you're with me. Chief Briggs, I want 2 of your biggest security men. George, assign me an engineer. Astrophysics, detail your best researcher. Meet me in the teleporter room.
She seemed excited about seeing something new. She ordered.
Environmental suits and protective gear.
The team teleported to the artifact and began to explore it. After about 30 minutes, I heard.
Captain.
Then nothing.
Captain.
Kate began.
The team is gone.
There was panic in her voice.
Captain, there's a tachyon stream going to port.
I ordered, Kate, you're the navigator, tell us where to go. Tall, get Don Briscoe up here. Kitty, UL-12, please. Donald arrived on the bridge.
Lieutenant Briscoe reporting as ordered, Captain.
Saddle up, Don, in the navigator's chair, chart us, I don't want to be any more lost than we are. Kate relay our course to Kitty. Kitty, UL-16. We raced through space to where we knew not. Kate continued to feed Kitty as we followed the tachyon stream. Catherine fed Kitty directions, scanned space around the ship, and reported the strength of the tachyon stream.
Sir, the stream is fading.
I ordered, Kitty, UL-18. Tall, get me engineering, please. George's voice came over the comm.
Captain, what do you need?
George, I need as much as the old girl can muster.
Aye, sir.
Kate reported that the stream was getting stronger. Kate almost shouted.
Sir, another artifact dead ahead. Seems identical to the one we just left.
Then Kate said in a calm, controlled voice.
Sir, the stream seems to have been strengthened. This artifact might be acting as a relay station.
I replied, is the stream still going? She replied.
Yes, sir.
Then I said, continue the march. She asked.
Continue the march?
Old army jargon for stay the course. Keep going, I replied. Hours later, Kate reported another artifact dead ahead.
Continue the march, sir?
I replied, yes, continue the march. Again Kate found the tachyon stream and pointed the direction. We found 2 other identical artifacts as we pressed onward. Kate called.
Captain, we are approaching a solar system and a planet. The stream seems to descend to the planet.
I commanded, Tal, hail that planet.